Uh, my dear participants, welcome back to our post-lunch session today. It is indeed a great privilege for us to have Professor D.N. Tiwari with us this afternoon. Professor Tiwari was a professor of philosophy at Banaras Hindu University. He is one of the most distinguished experts on Indian philosophy of language. His works on Bhartrihari are highly acclaimed among the philosophers. He is author of many books, many important publications. So I am not, going to mention all them because I don't want to waste time. So Professor Tiwari, welcome to this online session. So over to you now, Professor Tiwari.
Thank you, sir. वांग में मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो में वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्मयेधि वेदस्य मोहाडिस्थ श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीर अनेन अधितेन अहोरात्रान् संदधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि ओम तन्मावत् तद्भक्तारम् अवतु माम् अवतु भक्तारम् ओम शांति 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 वंदे आचार्य परंपरा. Respected Professor Nirmal Ran Chakravarti sir and the organizers team, chairman of the organizer and the scholars participating. There is some problem. I have been given to deliver this lecture on theory of sport and its present relevance. Its relevance for philosophy. It's a very covetous topic. I love it. And for this, I am thankful to Professor Chakravarti, who gave me an occasion to share my views with all of you. I remember almost more than 10 years back, Professor Chakravarti invited me to Rabindra Bharati, and he gave me an occasion to speak on Bharati's Patanjali's Mahabhasya in comparison with the commentaries of Yasan Das Gupta and there is a problem.
No, this is fine. This is fine.
Fine.
Yeah.
And next time, he has given me the same opportunity. He has created these opportunities and given me the occasion to share my views on theory of sport and its philosophical relevance. What is sport? Sometimes it is confused by great scholars as something that is mythical entity. Sometimes it is confused as insertion of metaphysical entity into the discussion in a language. And sometimes it is described as S.D. Joshi, that sport is not a meaning-revealing unit. But if we go to the tradition, we find that, and it is interesting to see how the tradition observed the concept. Nagesh Bhatt in Ṣphota, he has taken the term Ṣphota into Ṣphotati artho asmat Ṣphota. Ṣphota Ṣphoti bhavati, Ṣphotati bhavati. This means Ṣphot means to reveal, to express, to flash, to flash. So what flashes the meaning? And similarly, Kond Bhatt in Vyakaran Bhushan Sar, he has also derived it by the derivation Asputati artho ismat, meaning thereby that the unit by which the meaning is revealed, meaning is expressed. Asputi bhavati, asmat artha. And you might have seen Madhavacharya in Sarvdarshan Sangra. He has taken into the derivation Asputate Vyanjate Varna, that which is expressed by, flashed by the manifestation of the atoms, individual letters. This is some of the etymological derivations. But how it is explained by Patanjali, the Mahabhasyakar of Panini Ashtadhyayi. Panini Ashtadhyayi, in the very beginning, raises the question, Gauriti Kaha Shabda. And here he started from answering this question. शासना लांगुल ककुद खुर विषाणिनाम संप्रत्यय भवति यह शब्द, that by the unit by which the samprataya, the concept of that which has the concept of the meaning that has shasna, tail, hoof, etc., is flashed. So Patanjali has taken it into the sense of concept. Here I want to express clearly that a concept may be given, but unless it is flashed, it will be not known. And in our thinking, mind is not a factory of the knowledge, and the knowledge is not a product of mind. Mind only flashes the knowledge, and this flashing is through Ṣphota. This flashing is Ṣphota, and the Ṣphota is manifested by individual letters. So individual letters flash the universal Ṣphota. Therefore, that's why Bhartrihari very clearly defines it as अनेक व्यक्ति अभिव्यंग्या जाति स्फोट स्मृता. Jati, sport is a word universal, and the word universal that is manifested, abhivanga, anek vyakta abhivanga, that is manifested by several articulate utterances, varana utterances, letters or words, articulate utterances. So here you find the distinction between the sport and the dhvani. So what we speak is dhvani, dhvani shabda. And what we write is lipi. But what is shabda? Is it dhvani or lipi? So in between the dhvani and lipi, the lipi is later, dhvani is primary. For the dhvani, dhvani is transitory. It disappears when it is spoken, and it does not come into existence when not spoken. So when we speak it, when we speak something, that is dhvani, but it is destroyed soon. That's why people invented lipiya, scripting, writing, because they find that in writing there is rather some stability. It does not appear, it can be preserved. So writings are later. They stand for verbal noises. But what is the difference between these dhvaniya and Ṣphota? In order to understand this point, we have to see what our tradition says. So in the tradition, we find that there is metaphysical perspective of the orientation of the dhvaniya, the verbal sounds, verbal noises, or articulations. What is that? If we go through the tradition, we find that the consciousness is real. You can say that consciousness as Brahman, as Sabda Brahman, or as Para. But when it is when the consciousness is self-conscious, it stands as Pasyanti. So the humans are defined as self-conscious being because there is some object by which the consciousness becomes self-conscious. What is that object? Is that object the object of the senses? No. Senses can only hear or perceive or like that. The things external to them. Even the senses cannot sense themselves. We cannot see something, we cannot see our own eyes before I see the things before my eyes. So I can see the object of the eyes, but I cannot see my own eyes, because it has its limitation. However, the eye has natural fitness to observe its object. Likewise, the ears have the natural fitness to perceive its own object, and other senses are also. So, is the senses sufficient for knowledge? No. Senses derive only sense data from the things outside. But the sense data is not the knowledge. Sense data, even it is taken that it is aggregated by the mind and then it becomes knowledge. No. Unless there is involvement of, unless there is infusion of words, language, there will be no knowledge. So only data is instrumental. Likewise, the dhvaniya and lipiya, they are instrumental, not in placing the Ṣphota, because Ṣphota places itself, but only in manifestation of the Ṣphota, and being manifested, the Ṣphota reveals itself, places itself. So, what is that Ṣphota? question. So after Pasyanti, there is a below Pasyanti, there is a level of language, level of consciousness that is called Madhyama. Madhyama means, actually it means middle, but when we speak about language, it means the language as intelligible being, the language as idea, the language as concept. So all words, all sentences are um, uh, like concepts. So concept is not isolated from language. Concept is infused with language. It is meaning, and before that, it is language. So at Madhyama stage, the idea of language and the idea of meaning expressed by the language, they are the only objects our mind can know. So our mind has limitation. It can know only what it places, and it places only the intelligible being of language, and the meaning is expressed by the language. So the intelligible being of language, that is called Ṣphota. It is flash. It is called Ṣphota because unlike this knowledge by senses, in every knowledge, it reveals, Ṣphota reveals itself, it expresses itself, it places itself, and then its meaning is expressed by it non-differently. So here you see, meaning means idea you take, like the Westerners, and other people also take meaning as awareness. But language is also awareness. There is a stage of language, level of language, where language is awareness. That is called Madhyama. So awareness level of language and the meaning it reveals is also the awareness of language. That is the limitation of our knowledge. We can know only to the intelligible beings. The language of the awareness in nature and the meaning it reveals is also of the awareness in nature. So, do you think, do you imagine even any idea that is isolated from language? Without language, can you have any idea? Even you cannot imagine. If you imagine an idea isolated from language, the idea ceases to be so. A concept ceases to be so isolated from the language. Therefore, Bhartrihari writes, "Na so asti pratyayo loke ya shabdano madrite anuviddhati vajnanam sarvam shabdena bhasate." Hello?
Yes, you're back. Yes.
Yes, yes. There is some problem in the net.
Yes.
I'm not so technical, sir. So that is the Madhyama. And then there is a grossest level of language that is called Baikhari. Baikhari means externalized level of language, gross level of language. So Baikhari is material. It is physical in nature. We can perceive it by the senses. If there is sound, we can perceive it by our ears. And if there is written letters, words, sentences, we can perceive it by the eyes. So that is material. But Madhyama, the Ṣphota is not material, it is flash. It is directly known to you. And what you know directly, You cannot negate it, because negating it, this means you are negating your awareness, you are negating your being conscious, you are negating your being rational, a mindful person. So it is directly known to you. So the sport is directly known to you, it is flashing, and the bakery is perceived by the senses. It is material, and the percent is accepted as the substratum of the sport. Uh, Pasanti. And since there are all the three levels are supported by the proofs, we have proof. It is not just only imagination, or it is accepted on the basis of assumption, but we have sufficient ground to accept the sport. The sport is directly revealed to you. You know it as the object of your knowledge. You know the meaning as the object of knowledge. And before knowing meaning, you know the shabd. So the grammarian, especially Bhartrihari, gives primacy to language and not to the meaning, unlike the Western and Indian schools of philosophies who give meaning or ideas prior to language and accept language only as carrier, a tool. Bhartiya accept that language is sport. In every word, every letter which we know, there is involvement of sport. Without sport, we cannot know anything. And isolated from language is isolation from the meaning. So language, knowledge ceases to be so isolated from language. Knowledge means ideas, the object of knowledge. And again, bakery is also analyzed as Prakrit and bakery. Recently, I have got a volume, 2 volume, of a set of 2 volumes from DK Printworld, Dynamics of the Language. And here, near about 100 pages are there on the sport and the theory of the sport. So, if we give primacy to language, to meaning, what difference it will cause? Meaning is transcendental to language, according to the theories who accept the referential or representational mode of language. As we find in Western philosophy of language, as a Western linguistic philosophy, and in schools of philosophy like Mimamsa, Vedant. And again, here I want to clear that language is accepted in Indian tradition 2 ways. The first is language as praman, and the second is language as cognition. So the praman theory of language is developed more here in Indian and Western also. So Buddhism, Jainism, these are heterodox schools, and all the orthodox schools, they develop the language theory on the basis of accepting it as authority, as a proof of knowledge. But another theory that is not taken too much by the young scholars, and only veteran like Nirmal Narayan Chakravarti, very few, they take it as language infuses cognition. So there is no meaning, and no meaning is transcendental. If meaning is transcendental to language, no meaning can be described into language. But all those who have accept that absolute meaning is absolute, meaning is fact, that is different from language. So if meaning is separate from language, how can that separate meaning be described or expressed into language? You can express the meaning in different way, at different level. From your perspective, I can describe the language, the meaning from my perspective. So there will be no harmony, there will be no successful accomplishment of communication. But language is for communication, and communication is not confined only to file and dispatch, but it is awareness as well. So if communication is awareness, so we have to accept that language infuses cognition, because communication is cognition as well by the language. So here, if we accept the primacy of language and that language infuses knowledge, then only translation and analysis will be a philosophical activity, and there will be a possibility of translation and analysis. Otherwise, if meaning is transcendental to language and language is only carrier and it is in our hand, so if we analyze language, this does not mean that we are analyzing meaning as well, because meaning is transcendental to language. But if language confuses and language infuses cognition, language infuses meaning, then the analysis of language, translation of language into different languages, will be the translation of meaning at the same time, and the analysis of the meaning at the same time. So this is possible only if language is given primacy and meaning is taken as expressed by the language, non-differently. So yoyam shabda, soyam artha. Shabdartho artha. Bhartrihari in Deepika, Mahabhasya Deepika writes, Kim asmakam vastu gatena vicharan. Arthastu asmakam yah shabdena vidhiyate. Mahabhasyakar in Mahabhasya writes, Kim asmakam idam nityam anityam va. The external things, objects, whether they are eternal or non-eternal, the meaning is eternal or not eternal, that hardly matters for us. We are grammarians, we are shabdikas, and what expresses by language is occupied by us. We rely only upon the knowledge expressed by the language, infused by the language. So, isolated from language, even the Western philosophers cannot define what is knowledge. They also define knowledge as that which is known by the set of propositions. So, if it is so, why language is only carrier? If knowledge is expressed by the set of the propositions. But when they define knowledge, they care about it. But otherwise, they always take language either as representation or as reference. So again, if we take a referential theory of meaning, what is the problem? Suppose I say pen. This pen is referring to the pen in the empirical world. I can perceive it, I can see it. But suppose the pen is out of my touch. Still you are saying pen. And I know you are talking about the pen. So how it is possible? Because we perceive the thing outside, but we know the idea of the thing. We perceive the pen, but the idea of the pen is known by the when it is expressed by the language. Can you think of the idea of the pen without the language? I think it is impossible, utterly impossible to know the pen isolated from the language. That was known even to the Kumarilas and Buddhists also. Therefore, Nagarjuna and Dharmakirti, they also accepted Nama Jati Yo Jojana Vikalpa. Vikalpa kya hai? What is Vikalpa? Nama Jati. So name and universal. When there is involvement of name and universal, only then our mind can know. So all are construction of mind, and the mind only know the universals and the name universal. Bhartiya also accept that language is universal, but not in the sense universal is a abstract entity, but in the sense that universal is manifested by the individuals. So, our mind can know only individuals and universals. This is generally accepted by philosophers. But do you think that you can know the particular? I think that no. If I say pen, the pen does not enter into your mind and make its knowledge into you. If I say mountain, so big, it cannot enter into your mind. Only the idea of mountain, the idea of pen is placed in your mind and you know it. So, likewise, the idea, the meaning is not separate from the. Now, a question: why we accept sport? Suppose it is a pen. You perceive it. What determines this pen? The length, width, material, color, and some function it performs, writing. This is the qualities of the pen by which the pen is determined. It is taken by the epistemologists in India and in the West. Okay, I do not disagree with it, but there is a difference between knowing and doing. You do with the thing having these qualities, but do you know that also? No. The world of knowing is limited to the intelligible beings. So you know the idea of the pen, and what determines the idea of the pen? Not the qualities of the pen, not the qualities of the mountain, but only language determinates ideas. So all ideas are determined by language. If I say horse, we know horse. So horse is meaning is determined by the language horse. If I say elephant, we know the elephant, not the horse. So all words, all sentences have their own meaning. And about the knowledge, there is also a very truth. That truth is that you can know by the language and only in the instant present. You cannot know in the past. Even the past memories, they also flash in mind first, and then they flash in the mind in the present. Only then you know it that this is very beautiful memory. This is a very bad memory. So memory is also known in the instant present. Future predictions, they are also known in present. And whatever the mind know, it know only in the present. That is knowing, the world of knowing. What it knows? It knows the idea of the past objects, future prediction object, or the present object. So the ideas are infused by language, and we know only. So the object of our knowledge is confined only to the ideas. And these ideas, these concepts, when we analyze, is the idea of language and the idea of meaning expressed by the language. So only these two things our mind knows. And only these two things becomes the object of our memory. So here is primacy of language and the language is determinator of the knowledge. It is because of language is sport. It is flashings, and it always flashes in the. So no knowledge is possible without the sport. So sport is flashing of the mind, and it always flashes in the present. Now coming to the second point, that is sport is universal. So Patanjali in Mahabharata has very clearly mentioned that Sampratyaya bhavati sa shabda. He has used the concept Sampratyaya in the sense of shabda, language as awareness. That is sport. And Bhartiyari says, अनेक व्यक्ति विभंग्या जाति ही स्मृत. He has also used sport as jati sabda. So even we do not speak, we think. Suppose you are thinking something, suppose you are writing something, you are not speaking to some audience. Even then, you are doing your thinking in language. So there is no excuse. There is no excuse from language. You are condemned to think in language, to communicate in language, to think thought in language, even imagine in language. If you think that the reality, the meaning is absolute and it is indescribable, yes. But even then, you are using the language indescribable for the indescribable. So the knowledge of the indescribable, flashed by the sport, is determinated by the sport. So sport is madhyama shabda. Sport is universal because it is expressed by the individual. Suppose I am saying Rama. So Rama. So I am using many letters. Ra, A, Mo, O. 4 letters. And no 2 letters we can speak simultaneously. So when does the Ram word exist? When I speak Ram, before that it was not in existence. It came into existence when I speak it, Ra. But the next moment, when I speak Mo, the Ra is disappeared. Mo come into existence. And after speaking, Mo is also disappeared. So there is no moment when the two are existent at the same time to be aggregated for the Rama, the word Rama. So it is possible only because the sport is awareness, indivisible, and there is no division possible in awareness. But artificially, as a remedy to make the ignorance and children understandable, the indivisible, we divide by intellect into atoms. We analyze it into atoms to make it understandable, to reach to the individual. So these 4 letters, I can say atoms, they manifest the sport Rama, the sport is flashed, and only then the meaning Ram is known. And by analysis, we know that Ram is agent, Ram is singular in number, Ram is masculine in gender. All these meanings are known by the word Ram. It is universal because it is manifested by. Now you can say that there will be confusion. any articulate utterance can manifest any universal? No. Particular universal, suppose Aswaha. This universal is manifested by individuals Aswaha, including Visarga. Hasti. So these individual letters, articulations, they manifest the spot. So even if there is no involvement of speaking or writing, the spot is there in all words. And so without express, no knowledge is possible, no speaking is possible. How? How do you think that speaking is confined only to your mouth, effort made by the mouth? No. Speaking requires expectancy to speak. And what causes the expectancy to speak? When there is spot placed in the mind, it serves as the incentive to speak. And when there is expectancy to speak, the sport is attached to the mind, and from there attached to the mind, and from there it reaches to the kunda jataragni, and from there the air steers up. Then the air steered up is collided with the murdha, and then falling back, it comes into the mouth. The air comes into the mouth and vibrating the organs, struggling with the organs, mouth organs, speaking organs, teeth, lips, and throat and others. The vibration comes out. But this is vibration what comes out from the mouth. This is not the articulate utterances. This is not the verbal noises. When it reaches to when the vibrations reaches through the air to your ears, and your ears are healthy to receive them. So vibrata, it surrounds in the ear, and then it is transformed into verbal noises. Suppose the wall has no ear, and the deep, they also do not hear, because their transformer, the ears are not working properly. So the ears are transformer of the vibrations into verbal sounds, and this transformer creates the difference of the sounds also. Suppose there is roaring of ocean, roaring of lion, kalkal of rivers, the chirping of the birds, and speaking through the human parts. All are distinctly received by the ears, and when the when the vibrations surrounds in the ears, it receives, and the spot is flashed in the mind, and therefore you know distinctly that this is the voice of river or lion or human part from their mouth organs, speaking organs. So it is not only confined to the career, it is not confined to the speaking through the mouth. you are habitual of speaking, therefore you think that only mouth works and we learn the speaking from the community of speaking language. But actually, if you ask a question, what is the incentive? What causes the incentive to speak? Then you will realize that first there is a flash of mind, ideas, and that causes the incentive to speak. There is a question in your mind, and then you have the expectancy to uh, see my clarification on that question. Then you speak. So speaking is not so mechanical. It is rather depends on some incentive. And the cause of the incentive is sport. Again, one thing. What serves as the cause of identical cognition? This is often raised by the language philosophers of the East and the West. And they define it as group knowledge, habit, similarity. But Bhartiya said, no, it is universal that causes identical cognition by the language. How? When I speak, suppose I am speaking Professor Nirmal Narayan Chakrabarti. So first I speak, you know that what I am speaking is belonging to the word. So wordness is known first. And then the particular wordness, Nirmal Narayan Chakrabarti, comes. And then the meaning, the word meaning, universal, and then the particular word meaning, word universal, Nirmal Narayan Chakrabarti. And the all fours, the meaning two universals and the language two universals that expresses the universals. There is identical cognition by the language, aika ka gyana, from the word of the meaning. So no no identical cognition is possible if we deny sport, the flashings of the mind through the individual letters, articulations. So, Professor Chakravarti, pardon me, if there is some time for questions and answer, you please remind me how much time for questions and answer.
Yes. You can speak another, say, 20-25 minutes.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay. So after 20-25 minutes, question answer.
Yeah.
Now, one thing, very much confusion among the scholars. So if I speak something, there is spoken words. That's why we call it Ṣphota. So Ṣphota is not only Ṣabdan, that is the vibration externalized from the mouth. It is Ṣabdan, the incentive of which is sport. Therefore, it is so sport is involved in every Ṣphota. Vibration is also involved. So when we use Ṣphota, language, vibration and the awareness part, Madhyama Ṣabda, sport, both are involved. Without Madhyama, there will be no knowledge. And without Madhyama, there will be no possibility of producing sounds. So verbal noises will not be possible if there is no incentive. You can say that the children, how they have flashings of the mind, how they have sport. They won't have idea, but they cry. No, not this. We accept that they have also idea. If they have hunger, they cry. Crying has a problem, but not sport. When when the child feels hungry, the idea flashes in the mind. But his speaking organs are not matured enough to speak utterances. And that's why it expresses the sport of hunger through tittering, through crying, and like that. If he's happy, through smiling, because his speaking organs are not matured enough to speak. When you see the cold countries like Canada, Norway, American also, their throat is not so matured to utter the letters ta, tha, da. They speak ta, tha, da. But we have separate letters ta, tha, da, and separate letters ta, tha, da. And we can speak because we Indians enjoy all the three, summer, winter, and rain seasons equally. So they have India phobia also because of this. But because these seasons, they mature our throat to the extent that we can speak anything, any that a human can speak in any part of the country. Now, two problems I will take. But before that, philosophical relevance. So the philosophical relevance I have spoken, but I am summarizing here. The first relevance is that the object of knowledge. Anything is philosophy which is attached with knowledge. If you concentrate on knowledge and you analyze that, you are reading and you are knowing. So knowing must be involved in philosophizing also. Philosophizing is not just a game of the language. It is not like artificial picture, narrating picture. It is not like fiction. It is awareness. When reading, writing also becomes awareness because of philosophy, because of sport, because of intelligible wielding of language. We know it. So second is the object of knowledge in philosophy, that is the world of knowing, cannot properly be understood, but rather it will be always confusing whether you are accepting the representation or reference theory of language or designation theory of language or any theory. Unless you accept that language is expressor. Knowledge is infused by language. So the object of knowledge is all that are intelligible being, and the intelligible being is analyzed into the intelligible being of language and the intelligible being of meaning. Then the second philosophical importance is that You can think without speaking, without utterances, because there is Ṣphota. The mind works with the Ṣphota. Or rather, I can say the Ṣphota works with the mind. So here all thoughts are thoughts in language. All thinking is thinking in language. And the object of language is the language and its meaning. So meaning is also twofold. The meaning that is perceived by the senses, the object of senses, and the object of knowledge, twofold. So we have to make a distinction between. Unless we accept the Ṣphota theory of language, we cannot make this distinction. And we can confine wrongly language only to the representation or reference. They also felt problem who accept the reference theory of language or representation. Reference is not that I say pen and the pen is there in the empirical world, and that corresponds with it. You see, Wittgenstein in investigations accepted the reference word. So we do not know by language the pen outside, but pen is constructed into the representation word. So the representation word is like fact. Fact is not the external thing. Fact is not just my construction, but fact is something that is the concerned with the object, pen, outside, and our knowledge. So like this. So they have to accept, and that is the problem of which the Russell left the concept of propositions in his later writings. So this is the basic cause of leaving the concept of proposition by Russell in his writings, because he was not having any support, any cognitive ground to accept the proposition if the language is confined only to the carrier, confined only to the articulation, to the indicators, to the marks. So if you accept the language as indicator, it will not cause knowledge. Indication is not causing knowledge. Indication is just indication. Upalakshaka. Suppose I am saying, I also refer to, which one is the office of the Bhakti Vedanta? Professor Chakrabarti told me that, oh, you see, there is a flag and the crow is sitting on the flag. That is the office of the Bhakti Vedanta. But after he's saying that the crow is there on the flag of the sitting on the flag of the office of the Bhakti Vedanta, the crow is flying. So even after flying of the crow, that was the only indicator, not the cause of the accomplishment of knowledge. I approach to the office. So approaching of the office is not just a case of indication. It is not just only a mark, but it is accomplishment of knowledge. I got that. I got the office. Even if the crow is flew. So the language in land not only upalakshaka, but it is expressor of itself. And again, if you want to support the philosophy of language, you have to accept that by comparison of the knowledge by senses, I am making it clear. Suppose I am perceiving the pain. After the perception of pain, the pain is separate from my knowledge. But this is not the same case with the knowledge by language. Even after perception, after knowledge, the language is infused with that knowledge, always there with the knowledge. It cannot separate from the knowledge. If it is separated from the language, knowledge ceases to be knowledge. So, language is not upalakshak only. It is expressor. It expresses its own nature first, the universal nature of its own first, and then from it, it expresses meaning. But here you see universal of the grammarians and the universal of Buddhist or Vaisesikas, Nayayikas are different. According to Nayayikas, निसामान्यानि सामान्यानि, सामान्य में सामान्य नहीं होता. There is no universal in universal. But what is their philosophy? Even a avaya becomes avayavi. So if there is not involvement of universal in universal, how it will be possible? But Vyakarna accept, Sabdika accept, universal inheres in universals also. And that's why the expressions like ima jatiyan, these universals are possible. Now, how can you say that these universals are inherent in universals? So, though it has a proof also, but the thing is that if you will not the practical importance, philosophical importance is that if you do not accept the universal inheres in universal, then some usage of language will not be possible. Like these universals, only on the basis of individual as meaning, you cannot explain the such expressions like ima jatiya. Gotva universals. You cannot explain. Pasu universals, pasutva universals, like that. So, if you accept that there is no inherence of universal, then see the two expression. Sringe gau, gavisringam. Both will be possible. There is horn, there is cow in the horn, and there is horn on the in the cow. But in practical uses, we cannot say that there is cow in the horn. Rather, we use only the horn is in the cow. So we have to accept a avayava becomes avayavi, and no avayavi is there without avayav, and a avayav when separated from a avayavi, it also stands in the capacity of avayavi. So you have to accept, you are bound to accept that there is universal in universal. So sport cannot be denied. Even you do not say that Professor Chakravarti wrote a paper on quietism. You say that yes, quietism has a language, but keeping quiet, silent, Buddha silent, it has some meaning, and if it has some meaning, silence is also expressed in our mind as some word, and therefore there is meaning. No meaning is possible without language. Meaning as awareness, not belonging to the world of doing, belonging to the world of knowing. So, but I'm taking the problem of translation. Rama griham gachat. This is in Sanskrit. And most of you know Bangla, know Hindi, no. Other languages also of your touch. And you can translate it. But suppose there is a script of which you are not unaware, you are unaware of. Suppose some Chinese is written there, and you are asked to translate it. So now it is possible because there is mobile and there is a program you can you can fit there and you can get translation. But how can you translate if you do not know its sense, its meaning? So if I say dog, doggy, sana, kutta, puppy, but the universal expressed by all these is dog. So the universal dog word is expressed in the mind, swana word is expressed in the mind, and then its meaning is known whether the articulate utterance belong to a Japanese or Russian or police station, police language, like that. Any language you can speak. But unless the sport is expressed, no meaning is possible. Now, another problem I'm taking. The problem is sport bad. So, meaning I have explained. But the diversity of meaning, how it can be explained? Unity and diversity. Both can be explained better only by accepting the sport theory. For example, you take. Before coming to the question, you will remind me. So, if you know the meaning, only then know the language, only then know the sport, only then you can translate in different languages. Unless you know it, you cannot translate. This is the reason because of which translation is also not a copying. Because if it is copying of ideas and the idea is translated to language, so no exact translation will be possible. Professor Chakriswari is a scholar, good scholar, having a great mind. His translation will be authentic, taken by you. But other people translation will not be taken authentic because he is not so knowledgeable person. So translation as such will not be possible. But we translate it and we have confidence that what is there in the text is as such translated into the language of the translation. Why? Because translation is possible because of the idea expressed in the mind, and the idea is only translated into different languages, different written or spoken languages of the community we are having proximity with. Similarly, analysis I have already said. So, other merits of sport theory is that sport is indivisible because it is of awareness in nature. It is the idea, the intelligible being. And when I say intelligible being, it is in contrast with the external thing outside. That is Mukhya Satta. In comparison, in contrast with that, it is Upchar Satta. It is the intelligible being, that not external being. One example I am giving. Suppose you are going to a potter and you are saying that, oh, potter, please make a pot for me. How can you use the word pot if the pot is not already produced? If there is a pot, only then you can say. But you say that, oh, make me a big pot or pat like this. How How can you use the word part before it is produced? It is because of the sport expressed by. So the sport has no length, no breadth. Speaking has, writing has length, breadth, time, etc. But sport is just a flash in present. It is indivisible. It is divided artificially into parts, divisions, stairs, so that one can understand the individual. Individual cannot be understood by learners, by ignorance, by children all of a sudden. Nobody can know individual all of a sudden. Individual can be approached. A child can be made learn about the individual sport, word or language by the divisions. Take a little word, Kali, black god, deity, goddess, Kali. So I know Kali. You also know. Kali is when I say Kali, it is expressed in your mind. It is indivisible. But if you have to teach your 5 years below child how to write Kali, you will write K, and in writing K also, you will put a straight line and then 2 lines forward in a triangle way. So, and then says it is K. So see how difficult to teach, and you cannot teach to write Kali without analysis, without division into the parts. As much as parts you can make, the child can easily understand. But if you write directly Kali, he will fail to understand the individual knowledge of the Kali. Even writing knowledge, writing Kali, because writing also depends on the idea. So ideas expressed in the mind of the child, and then he follows the ideas in writing. So writing, reading, translating, analysis, everything is a remedy, artificial remedy, upaya. So balanam apalapana. It is like the speaking of the children, upaya, remedy. So analysis is there. They are remedy to make the individual reachable to the beginners, to the ignorance, to the children. But without analysis, nothing can be known. Nothing can. So all knowledge is expanded into different branches of knowledge, disciplines of knowledge, because of the division of the individual knowledge. Knowledge is always individual. It is Brahman, individual Brahman, consciousness, and there is no real division in the. This is holistic concept, holistic concept of consciousness, Brahman. Therefore, it is called Shabda Brahman also. But sport is not Shabda Brahman. Sport is only middle level of the Shabda Brahman. Higher level is Pasyanti, and the utmost level, absolute level is Para, Shabda Brahman. But everything is expansion of, division of Shabda Brahman. In every form there is Shabda Brahman. In material form and in. So that is a different thing. When I will get a chance, I will speak on that, how the material word is also the form of the Shabda Brahman, and what we speak, ideas, they are also the form. So thought and matter, form and matter, both are the forms of Shabda Brahman. Oh, this is the holy Sabha. And it is based on sport, because each and every knowledge is knowledge infused by language. So language infuses knowledge. The question I left, I am just forgetting. What was that? So it is divided into parts. So words and words are of 5 kinds: nominative, naam, akhyat, verb, particle, postposition, and karmavachaniya, postposition, and particles, and propositions. These are the 5. And these words are also divided into many to make them understand to the beginners. They are divided into suffixes and roots. And again, suffixes and roots are also divided into atoms, letters. So from atom to the whole, everything is the form of the same Shabd Brahman. And we know it because the Shabd reveal it, Shabd places it. So this is what for today I wanted to say about relevance of philosophical relevance of sport. Thank you, Professor Chakrabarti. Any question?
Yes.
If
Thank you very much, Professor Tiwari, for in a very lucid way you presented some of the key ideas related to Ṣphota, with special reference to Bhartrihari, because Ṣphota, the idea of Ṣphota is one of the primary, central concerns in Bhartrihari's philosophy of language. So I request my participants to ask any question or clarifications to Professor Tiwari. Please come forward.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, at one point of your lecture, you told that idea without the aid of language, it is impossible to apprehend. So, sir, what about the ideas of mental images? Sir, when we are apprehending mental images as ideas, sir, are these ideas are we apprehending these ideas with the aid of language or not?
you are speaking about that is infused with the language. Otherwise, you might have not used the word for that mental state. You have asked the question in language about that. You are clear about that. And if it is a determinate idea of that mental structures, mental features,
Okay.
then it is determinate. You are asking it to me. That is in language. So there is no excuse. You have to accept that knowledge infuses language. Okay?
Okay.
Language infuses knowledge.
Oh, thank you, sir. And sir, regarding the nature of Madhyama consciousness, is it a one kind of awareness consciousness? Just the consciousness is just aware of the. Okay.
You see, it is object that make you. Ideas are the object. The idea of Madhyama. Madhyama is idea. Sport. It is the object that make you self-awareness. If there is animals and other beings, they won't have self-awareness because there is no object with which they are self-aware. But in human beings, it has the object, the ideas, because of which it is self-awareness, and it performs the activity, philosophical activities of self-awareness. So humans are rational beings, self-awareness. It is because of the intelligible beings that human beings are self-conscious beings. Otherwise, you are not self-conscious if there is no object before flashing in your consciousness. So your mind is flashing consciousness. Your mind is, you are mindful because you have the flashing consciousness. Otherwise, not possible if you do not accept that Madhyama is there. It is directly known to you. You are aware of that object. And that's why your consciousness is self-consciousness. I think that is clear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very much clear. Sir, at the
What
end
is
of
your
the
name?
sir, my name
What
is
is your name?
Sir, my name is Satyabrad. Sir, my name is Satyabrad Viswas.
Very good. Your questions are very nice.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, at the end of your lecture, you introduced a very interesting concept that is the universe. That is some noises are in background.
Yeah, go ahead, Ṣphota.
Sir, Professor Tiwari has muted himself.
Oh, I muted because of resounding the voice.
Yes. Some back. Sir, at the end of your lecture, you introduced a very interesting concept that is the universal of all universals in Bhartrihari's writing.
Yeah.
So, compared to that, in modern logic, Bertrand Russell introduced a famous set theoretic paradox that the set of all set will it include itself as one of its members. So, the universal of all universal compared to that will include itself as one of its particulars.
You see, Truth and Meaning, Russell wrote, na?
Yes.
You go through the early chapters. He has read a question. What does the dog mean? Have you read it?
Sir, I have I didn't read that exact essay, but I read the version of his theoretic paradox from second order literature.
So you see, if anything is paradoxical, what is the reason? In the book, I have written 26 paradoxes of the Westerners and Indians, and I had replied from the sports theory of language in these 2 volumes, Dynamics of the Language.
Okay, sir.
So exactly, what is the paradox? Universals? Set of universal is also universal? Is it? What is your question? Pardon.
Sir, Bertrand Russell talked about that if we consider a set that is the set of all sets and it is not member of itself. So by definition, it is becoming a member of itself. So that is the paradox. So if I am talking that universal is a universal of all universals, if there is one kind of universal, that is a universal of all universals. So will it become a particular of itself?
You see, the particular is used not for you or for me, but all the particular, this pen, this bottle, and all that. And if something is used for several individuals, it is not individual, it is universal. As awareness. So you know only awareness, individual. Suppose I say dog, you know the universal dog. Suppose I say Chakravarti. What is your name?
Biswas, Satyabrat Biswas.
Satyabrata. So many Satyabrata are attending the lecture. But when I say Satyabrata, this universal is imposed on the Satyabrata of my allegiance, who is speaking, and I am responding to him. So even the individuals cannot be known as individual. Exclusion cannot be used for several individual occurrences and utterances if universal is denied. You have to admit it. Okay? So any set which is isolated from the sets is also known because of the universal of the sets. Of the set. Okay?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Sir?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, just a small query, sir. I would like to know from you one thing, sir. The language is invariably associated with knowledge. Similarly, language also invariably related with meaning. So suppose, sir, regarding the concept of God, this is actually the knowledge of God is not fully grasped by us. It is a mere knowledge of us. So in this context, sir, how language is invariably associated with knowledge? Sir, can you say something?
So this is the problem with those whose mind is so intensively attached with the theological and ontological commitments. This is the This is the problem with these minds. But what you know, you concentrate only on that. When I say God, you know the meaning of the God, and you impose on God of your faith. So, knowing by imposition, and that which is imposed is known. So, known and the imposition of the known and the knowledge of the imposition of the known, they are two things. You know only the meaning of the language, what expresses in your mind, what flashes in your mind. And you impose on the God of your faith what is written in your book, what is said by your priest, your prophet, and like that. You impose it. That is belonging to the world of doing, world of faith. But in philosophical world, you have to accept only to what you know. Here, जानना जिंदगी है, मानना मौत है. No assumption. Only knowing. You concentrate on knowledge, what you know, and you analyze it.
Yes, sir.
So,
Sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, then logically, means language or language is equal to knowledge, or language is equal to meaning. Then
first you know and understand the language. I am speaking on sport.
yes, yes,
Language is awareness.
yes, sir. Right.
Not I am speaking not only what you articulate or write. The idea. Language is idea.
Language.
So, and idea is always infused with language. Can you think of any object without language? Can you have any concept without language? Even you have the concept of God, Khuda, God, Ishwar. But that is concept which is known to you. It is your limitation.
Yes, sir.
But what can I say about your faith? That is a different thing. I am a philosophy student.
Yeah.
I confine only to philosophy. ठीक है?
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, sir, I am Pushanta Varman, you know me. Sir, I am Pushanta Varman. You know me.
बोलो
Yes.
दादा.
Sir, in Tantric philosophy, I found the term Nada Brahma. Nada Brahma. So in Tantric philosophy. So, sir, can we relate with Shabda Brahma, Nada Brahma, or Bhakti or Tantric? They are similar, or I think not similar. But what? How can we relate with Nada Brahma with Shabda Brahma?
Very good question. Very good question. And very important question. That is often confused by even the musicians, singers, and aspirants, spiritual aspirants. There is a Upanishad on Nada Bindu. Nada Bindu Upanishad.
Yes, sir.
So suppose you see, I'm giving with the example of music. Then I will come to the Nada Brahma. Music, बीना क्या बोलते हैं उसको? बीना.
Bina, yeah.
बीना. तो seven स्वराज. सारे ग म प ध नि. 7 letters.
Yes, sir.
But I am uttering it rightly, properly to cause a rush in your mind. What causes rush in your mind? Rasa. Aesthetic beauty. What causes? Is its aggregate Saregama? No 7, no 2 can be aggregated, because when I say Sa, when I utter Re, Sa is disappeared. There is no moment that they will be aggregated at the same time, because they do not exist. All the 7 do not exist at any point of time. Suppose memory. So memory can have the memory of sa, re, ga, ma, pa. When it is associated, you see, when I say sa, re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni, with the later last word, the Ṣphota of sa, re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni is expressed, that is swar. And from that, the ras is caused as the meaning of the Ṣphota sa, re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni. So that is individual that can only cause happiness, rasa. Divisions cannot cause the rasa, and this can be explained because you see, only speaking is not that is the instrumental in the manifestation of the sport. When I say this gesture, this also speaks something to you, and this is also in language. You understand the meaning. If I use some symbol or sign, they also serve as the manifester of the sport in your mind. Unless the sport is revealed, no idea, no meaning, no knowledge is expressed. Whether it is the rush or it is the knowledge, nothing can be expressed. Likewise, when we Nada Brahma, very good question. Is it equal to Shabda Brahma? So Nada Sadhana, you see, everything is of the form of the Shabda Brahman. So Nad Sadhana easy to realize the Shabda Brahman. Shabda Vrishabha Sadhana. Shabda Yoga Sadhana. So that is also a means to realize the Shabda Brahman. But Nad Sadhana, concentrating on Nada, Nada means articulate utterances. Then first loud, then inside only uttering, and then the utterances are collapsed. Only it is experienced in your heart, and no experience is possible determinately if it is isolated from the language. So that is individual awareness, Ṣphota. So Ṣphota by nature is individual, and the lang, sat, sa, re, ga, ma, the divisions, they are only means to reach to the individual position. So they are only means. But the beauty can be caused, the knowledge can be caused only by the individual. The divisions are helping tool only. So all these, no, philosophy is not only for knowledge, it is for the cultivation of the knowledge also. And therefore it is a value also. So, knowledge is a value. Knowledge is a value. Therefore, we are still reading, giving importance as authority to the Vedas and other texts. Knowledge is a value because of which no male likes to marry with the female who on illiterate females. No illiterate, no lady wants to marry with the illiterate males. Why? Why? Because knowledge is value. Knowledge is value in Indian thought. Sarva vidya pratayante jnana sanskara hetavah. Cultivation of the knowledge, that is value. So there are schools, even the houses are converted into schools. Mothers teach, fathers teach their children. So the schooling starts from there. Why schooling? Because knowledge is value. The tradition of knowledge is the tradition of cultivating mind for adapting, for receiving the values. So all knowledge is value. It is for the cultivation of the knowledge, or it is not a dry knowledge. No knowledge is dry. If some knowledge is dry, it is not determinate knowledge. It will collapse. It will destroy it. So all knowledge is knowledge for cultivation and by cultivation. So you can say that mm, some person is not some person is illiterate. So does he not have any knowledge? No, he has knowledge. He has ideas, even something greater ideas than us. But that is what he does not know writing. He does not know speaking that knowledge, but he has the ideas, and he can express the ideas in the language of his own. Okay, even the dumbs, deeps, they also express their knowledge in their own way. We teachers sometimes speak through the gestures, bodily gestures, and the language of the body. This is also in some university in the course. Body language, metaphorical language, so many. But this is all possible. These all types, sorts of divisions of the study of language is possible because they are belonging to the ideas that is flash in your mind. Your mind, if your mind does not know anything, that has no meaning. If there is a meaning, that is placed by the sport. Your consciousness places, and the flesh of consciousness is the sport. I think that you understood it.
Yes. I
Yeah.
think, with that wonderful positive note, let us again extend our sincere thanks and regards to Professor Tiwari for, sharing his wisdom. He has been working on this for years together. We are really grateful to Professor Tiwari for coming forward and for giving us such a wonderful talk on the idea of Ṣphota and many other related aspects with special reference to Bhartrihari. So thank you and pranam, Professor
Pranam, sir.
Tiwari, for
Pranam,
being
bete,
with
pranam,
us.
sir.
Thank
Pranam,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Pranam,
Thank
sir.
you. All the best. Okay.